previous thing was about compliance. We were trying to check for compliance with these environmental flow targets. So we had a time series of data, how many years do we meet, in fact, all of the 17 priorities. So we can look at compliance and that sort of issue. So I guess this is really a bottom-up approach to looking at the situation in a catchment from the farm level, from the ecological level, building up to what happens within the catchment. And the results that we've got so far are certainly preliminary and they're illustrative, if you like. But this was an interesting one here. We had our 3 different levels of risk to river health according to how many of those priorities we tried to meet. And for those, if we have our sustainable diversion limits and the stream flows here, then we can see that for a low level diversion to the farms, you get more water available to the environment, which we might expect. But in fact, there's not much difference here. If we want to meet the objectives between 17 priorities and 10 priorities, there's not much difference here. And also, there's actually not much difference as we look at those priorities. So that's just a flavour of some results so far, but as I said, I'm not hanging my hat on any of the results that we've got yet. Another thing we can do with these models is look at time series of demand versus supply. So this is, in each case, this is for the low risk scenario and the high risk scenario. The demand is in blue, and then the supply according to a high diversion and a low diversion. So we can see some results there. It's maybe the style of results we might want to get out. But again, they're preliminary, but they're the types of things, and associated with these, we can look at those compliance. How many years we meet the objectives of the 17 priorities? And not that this is a typical sort of hydrograph of natural flow, current flow, and then this might be this is the augmented flow, which we might want to have to meet some environmental priorities, if you like. So, and the ecology and the water models take account of this sort of thing. So I guess there's a level of detail there in our modelling that might be valuable to include and interesting to see the results from. So I think that's what I wanted to say at the end was that I guess what's new here is this concept of a trade-off analysis, which is maybe not new to economists, but it is to some others. We're looking at systematic water sharing changes. We've got, I think, a level of modelling detail on both the agricultural and environmental side that other studies probably don't have. And we've also got this issue of being able to assess risks to river health, if you like. And that's been good. The ecologists have come on board with that and said, oh, well, let's try this, although they mightn't have wanted to do that initially, but we've got that sort of capacity in this, if you like. Now, there's lots of things we can do with this. We can develop the demand for water. We might eventually put some values on the environmental side or the ecology and try and include that in one thing if we believe the choice modelling values and if we're happy with that process. But we haven't done that here yet, and so it's quite an exploratory type analysis, but we're hoping that we can look at this trade-off question to get actually back to. So here we might have an SDL, probability of achieving environmental objectives, water supply reliability, agricultural outcomes, and maybe also change in catchment yield. So that's where we're up to. And I thought that seeing as we've had the first part of Dorothea McKellar, I thought we could do the last part, which was I love her far horizons, I love her jewelled sea, her beauty and her treasure, the wide brown land for me.